Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
And let's talk about what lessons we found.
Let's hang out.
And let's listen to two lesbians shout.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Hang Out, the podcast that's muddling through one day at a time. I am your host from the West Coast, Lee Holmes Foster.
And from the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida. To those of you who have been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. And if you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. And here's what's happening this week.
This week in the Lesdom.
This week in the Lesdom is somewhere that we can touch base every episode about stuff going on in our lives, stuff going on in the podcast life, stuff going on in greater lesbian lives. And starting with, are you ready? 2 weeks
Oh my
from today.
God.
Can you handle it? It's our live show.
So excited.
It's happening.
It's happening.
We cannot wait to see all of you there. We cannot wait to see all of our guests there. We are going to be being joined by Jess Tom, Elsa Waith, Carolyn Bergier. We are super pumped. We're going to talk all sorts of things that should have been gay. It's going to be so much fun. And you should all come. Brooklyn, February 18th. The Bell House. See you there.
Speaking of shows, we are also going to be doing a live show at Klexicon. So any of you that are going to be there, we would love to see you at the live show. So pumped to do another Should Have Been Gay with all of you.
Also, we have our next Les Essentials watch party coming up. So if you want to be a part of that, you should go check out our Patreon page now. It is at bit.ly/lespatreon. Become a patron. You could join us for that watch party. It's going to be great. We're watching Saving Face. We're super excited.
Yes. And in the greater Les universe, Twitter was ablaze with Bo Peep. People are really excited about Bo Peep coming back for Toy Story 4 and rocking some lesbian energy. She is in a pantsuit instead of her big dress that she usually wears. So, of course, we're looking for some Should Have Been Gay for Toy Story now. So the options are limitless.
Finally, as you're going to hear a couple times throughout this week's episode, One Day at a Time, Season 3 drops in just a few days, February 8th. We cannot wait to see more of our favorite, the Alvarezes, all of them. So
yes.
Check it out on Netflix, February 8th.
One gay at a time. And that's This Week in the Lesdom. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Ellie and Lee. We are so excited to be bringing you episode 12 of season 2, One Gay at a Time, with a very special guest. We are so excited to have Isabella Gomez hanging out with us today.
Hey, Isabella, thank you so much for hanging out
Thank you
with
so
us.
much for having me. I'm so excited.
Our listeners, you probably know Isabella better as Elena Alvarez, actress on One Day at a Time. Well, Elena's not the actress, Isabella's the actress. Although, who knows what Elena's going to become,
Honestly,
right?
like, that could be kind of cool for her to do.
She'd have to get over some jitters, I think, first.
But wouldn't
right?
that be fun to watch?
It
Oh,
would.
God. Yeah, it might be like a one
I know,
episode
she's like, I'm
arc.
going to do theater.
She's like, maybe it's not
Never
for
mind,
me.
I hate it.
But how fun would that be? Because I'll tell you what, one of my favorite things ever, and it's so stupid and everyone, like, it's been done time and time again, but it still always makes me laugh, is when actors have to play their characters acting badly.
It's my favorite. Or when, like, characters
It's the
in a show or
best.
movie talk about how stupid acting is, and you can tell the actor's just
Yes.
sitting there like, oh, this is fun.
Oh, there you go. So who knows? You know, we don't know what's coming in season 3. Maybe season 4.
Hopefully.
Season 5. How long can we keep this
Hopefully,
rolling,
yeah.
right?
Fingers crossed, everybody.
So let's do a quick intro, one day at a time. If you had to explain the show to someone, Isabella, how do you pitch the show?
Oh my God, how do I pitch the show? Gloria Calderon-Kellett, who is our showrunner, has taught us how to pitch before, and now everything's rushing back. I'm like, all right, here we go.
We're in an elevator. Tell me about your
Elevator
show.
pitch, here
Great.
we go. It's basically a re-imaging of a 70s sitcom. It is a Cuban-American family. It is a mom with 2 kids, Elena and Alex, a single mom, and she lives with her mom because we're Latinos and that's what we do. And it's just about daily lives. The Alvarez live in Los Angeles in our current time. So they're just dealing with being POC, and Elena obviously is LGBTQ, and Alex is a douchebag because he's a little 13-year-old boy and is just experimenting with seeing what's happening with these people's everyday lives and going through that. Penelope's an Army vet, and Lydia is from Cuba and then moved here, so it's a lot of layers and really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. And Lydia is Rita Moreno, which like
Miss Rita Moreno.
Yeah, right. That's like the elevator pitch you need. It's just like, oh, Rita Moreno's
Rita
in
Moreno's, it's so funny. Every time we do any kind of interview, they're like, "You're great. Anyways, how's Rita?"
I'm sorry, we literally got there so
I love
early.
it. We love talking about Rita. Rita makes us have a lot to say. By the way, can I curse?
I just want you to know we put her at the very bottom of our notes. We did want to talk about you first, but like, screw it. So
screw it.
Tell us about
let's talk about Rita. I read her book. I have a lot of information on her.
Oh, God. No, I think we should tell Gloria, though, that you did a very lovely elevator pitch.
Thank you
very
very
good.
much.
Yeah, it was great.
Very detailed.
Yeah.
So if anyone has not watched One Day at a Time yet, what are you waiting for?
You should watch
I
it.
don't understand. Yeah, pause the podcast. It's on Netflix. We'll see you in approximately 12 hours. And
yeah.
Great.
When I first watched it, I totally just like was in my room for like days.
It's a quick binge though, which is
like,
really nice. Like, as somebody who binge watched Grey's Anatomy when 13 seasons of it were out already before I even started, binging One Day at a Time is so easy. It's like half a day and you're done.
Yeah.
Oof.
And it's so great. And it's so, I mean, obviously you deal with a lot of very real issues, but it's such a like feel good show.
It is.
Which I feel like is very important to take a minute and just like be able to laugh.
Yes, for sure. And I feel like people learn so much easier that way because, our show for sure is about teaching, but we never want to beat anybody's head over with, that's not the saying, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
We never want to make it that's just biased and one-sided, but we also don't want to be preachy. Like, when you teach people through laughter and in a way that people can just enjoy themselves and listen to these people have these funny conversations, it's so much easier than if our characters sat down and were like, and today we're going to talk about gun control. Here are some facts. Like, nobody would want to watch that.
Yeah, you've done that with so many things, and especially like Elena being LGBTQ. Like, there's so many ridiculously like hilarious things that she goes through, but also like things that LGBTQ teens are going through all of the time. One of the particular things that I loved, which was hilariously done, was pronouns.
Oh my God. What was that?
Yeah,
what was that?
episode.
Who's on first? Abbott and Costello. I was like, this is so reminiscent and I love it. And how are we going to figure this out? And that day on set was crazy because, mind you, we still have Rita Moreno, who's 86, 87 now, and Justina, who's young, but also not a millennial. And all these people who are like, what are pronouns? And me, who I just go to Ariella Barrera and Michelle Badiou and go, please help me. Please educate me. So I kind of had a grasp, but I just sat there like, okay, ready? They identify as they, them. She as she, her, and like had to point it out and we had to choreograph all of it because they were like, it went over. Rita was like, I don't understand. Why are we calling them them? What is that? And I'm like, well, it was a whole learning experience.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So let's dive in. Let's start with Elena. Obviously, your character comes out in season 1 as a lesbian.
Yes.
Having not just the experience of portraying a gay character, but of portraying a gay Latinx character, which is, fewer and farther between even than just like regular LGBT representation. Mm-hmm. So what has that been like? What has the response been like? Like what has the feedback been?
It's amazing. It's amazing. I honestly went into season 1 not realizing what I was doing because I was raised in a little bubble of like everything's okay and like whatever you want to be, you can be it. Especially because I moved away when I was 10 from Colombia to the US, so I wasn't around my family that much, and maybe it would have been different. Actually, I'm pretty sure it would have been very different had I stayed. But because I was here and I was in Florida at first, where we were all POC and like people were experimenting and figuring their stuff out, I was like, oh, this is normal. And I grew up doing theater where like half of us were LGBTQ, so it didn't, I was like, this is so normal. So I just did it. And I always tell this, I have a notebook, it's here somewhere, where I had my first meeting with Mike and Gloria, and they were like, oh, and maybe Elena has like a thing with her sexuality, we don't know yet. And it's just another bullet point, because it didn't register to me that this was a big deal to people.
Right, it wasn't like caps underlined.
Yeah, it wasn't like, ooh, she's a lesbian. Like, no. It's so funny because Rita always tells the story. I hope she never hears me saying this. But she always tells the story that I like ran in after that meeting to set and was like, I'm gonna be a lesbian. And like, that never happened. I don't know why she says that. First of all, we weren't even on set yet. Second of all, it was never a thing. And also, it wasn't for sure, but I just did it. And once the season came out and I started getting these messages is when I was like, oh my God. I took a step back because I always saw myself represented in that light. You know, I always saw males and females falling in love. And I realized I never saw the flip coin. I never saw anything like that, especially for lesbians. I always saw, you know, if anything, it was gay men falling in love. And if it was ever women having any sort of connection on screen, it was very sexualized. It was very through the male gaze. It was very not two women falling in love. It was very much like, ooh, this is so hot. I bet men love watching this, which is disgusting. So it was then when I started really trying to educate myself and realizing that like I had a big thing on my shoulders. And it was also really scary because at the same time, the conversation of like who gets to play what started. And I was like, I don't know if people are going to be upset that I'm doing this. Like, am I the right fit? But we were already a season in. I signed a contract. Like, I don't know what to do now.
Like, it's awkward when they replace the actor like a season.
Elena will not be played by.
Yeah, right.
So,
look, like Sense8 pulled it off, but like I don't know if everyone can do that.
So I just took it upon myself to really try to listen more than I talk, because it's not my place to talk as much as I can with the platform that I have. So I just listen a lot, and it's been so incredible because the fans of the show are so incredibly open and they're so vulnerable. They tell me stories that like are so, they're like, I've never told anybody this, or nobody knows I'm gay, and it's so heartwarming to know that, first of all, that they trust me like that, and second, that they find this character to be something that inspires them and to be something that makes them feel seen and okay and represented, and like they're not alone and that they're not wrong, which is more than you could ever hope for as an actor. As an actor, you just won't work, but to be doing something meaningful, it's
just trying to get paid.
We all want to get paid, but I'm getting paid to do something really, really cool that's actually impacting people's lives, and that's insane.
Nice. Yeah, it's so funny because you're saying like, oh, it's just a bullet point. It was like not a big deal at all. But like, I feel like every gay person was like, one day at a time, gay daughter.
Tumblr?
Like that's how we watch TV. Yeah, like it's literally like, you know, if you wanna sell one of us on a show, you're just like blah 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 blah, and she's a lesbian, and we're like done.
We were like,
signed up.
Especially
I'm here.
after
Let me watch
season
all
one, I would go on Tumblr, people would be like, you should watch one at a time. The daughter's gay. And I'd be like, wait, you don't know that at the beginning. Don't ruin the plot. And then I was like, oh, that's how they get people to watch. I understand.
Look, actually, you know, we're very big on spoilers.
Pretty quickly, right?
It did. Yeah.
I mean,
like in the first season.
I think it was episode 9 or 10 that she comes out, but I could be wrong. It's been 3 years.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But like, well, I guess for us, it feels fast. Because like in gay representation, it's like the kind of thing where like the character would be straight for like 10 seasons, and they're finally like, maybe we can throw them a bone. You know,
or not even throw them a bone. It's like, we're gonna make her like kind of question things for like Sweeps Week, and then like, oh no, I don't know, like I guess the girl she was into died. Sorry. Like,
it was only that one
back
girl.
to our regularly scheduled straight programming, and you're like, oh no, I just binge watched 10 seasons of a show for nothing. We've all been there, so So yeah, it is funny that like we just watch totally differently in terms of like, that's absolutely why I started watching, is I knew that you were gonna come out. And then what's funny is I did get a little confused though, because knowing that going in, where it is, you know, like, oh, you shouldn't know, but then the whole story with Carmen, and I was like, it's gonna be now. It wasn't now. I had to wait even longer.
And then I had to make out with Froy.
Yes.
That's true. I did have to, wait through all of that.
Ugh.
But I think, like, because some people have talked about that being like, oh, well, we wish that, like, she never, like, was with a boy or whatever. But that's the kind of experience that I think most high school.
It's so common.
Most lesbians go through, because you're told, like, you're supposed to date boys.
Mm-hmm.
Shove it down.
Like, yeah, so I don't think there are very few lesbians who have never kissed a boy.
Well, this was actually a huge topic of conversation in the writers' room, because it was the same thing where they wanted, they never wanted people to say that Elena was going through a phase or like whatever it was, but Michelle Badiou, who is one of the main writers for Elena because she's LGBTQ, that was her experience. She hooked up with boys because it's what she thought she needed to do, and then she was like, oh wait, no, this is not what I want. But hadn't she done that, she says that she probably would have never figured it out. So that was our reasoning, and that's like, with Elena's storyline, we always want it to be grounded in truth. We never want to just make something up. So all of her stories really come from our writers or from people that we know who have gone through these experiences. So it's not like a bunch of straight people being like, well, I think. It's, genuine. It's things that really have happened.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can
that
tell.
is so true to life for like all of us, or most of us.
It definitely comes across, I think, when stories like resonate differently, and it isn't that kind of thing where it's like, oh, it'd be really cool is like, let's make her a lesbian because like then we can cast this like super hot girl and they'll make out and we'll like film it from like all these different angles and it'll be really great. Like, yeah, I mean, it's vastly different than like, one of the notes that we had going into this discussion was also like, it's one of the things that I love about Elena and Sid's relationship. I mean, there's a lot of things that I love about it, but like one of them also is that it's so just kind of like innocent. It's like so sweet, like the whole awkwardness of like how they like feel each other out to like start flirting and like trying to ask each other out, and they're like so awkward and helpless and like they're like little baby lambs like which like was so true to high school for like so many
well that's the thing, teenagers are awkward and they're not represented as such on TV. Like, Riverdale, aren't all those kids supposed to be in high school? Why are they all hot and buff and like sexy? What are you guys doing? Like,
right, well, and they're dating like they're 35.
It's not true to life at all. And Archie always has a shirt off. Like, I'm like, why?
I'm like, what is this? So no, and that's like
okay.
Also,
look, wait. To be fair, I went to high school with a kid who was like, he was like the hot guy of our year, that like, but my favorite thing about this, and like, it was such a high school thing to do, is so seniors used to be able to get out like 15 minutes early or something to like go get our cars and like leave. And so every single day he would go up, he would have parked his car like in the top parking lot. So like all the buses had to drive by there. And when the buses drove by every day, he would be there like changing his shirt. Like, for no reason.
Oh, he did that on purpose.
Oh, of course he did that on purpose.
So you literally went to high school with
every
Archie.
day it was just like, oh no, the buses are coming by again while I take my shirt off. Like, what are the odds? So, okay, I'm just saying it happens. It's fine. But the point is, you guys are sweet and innocent, and exactly what you were saying is, like, it's something that's so often sexualized. Like, LGBT people in general, it's something that we've talked about on the podcast a lot, is, like, it just gets treated like a sexual thing, even if it's not at all. It's like two women kissing is all of a sudden like, oh my god, what if kids see that? And you're like, well, they see straight people kiss, like, all the time. And they're like, but that's inappropriate. And so it's so nice to, like, see that represented as like they're just like kids, they're like two cute kids like figuring this out
because they
like
are.
Figuring out dating,
which is like what's so cool about this show is that we're treating Elena, who is 17 I think this season, as a 17-year-old instead of like making her Hollywood 17, which by the way, I'm 21 in 2 weeks and I still can't play high school in Hollywood because I look too young. It's like so it's like it's really cool that we get to see them be awkward, and then that's the thing, like them being awkward and not knowing what to do with each other makes it so that this isn't a sexual thing, because that's never what this should be about. This is two young kids falling in love and figuring life out together, and I would hate for anybody to watch the show and be like, wow, that was so hot. Well, because first of all, I have no way of being high. Like, filming those scenes, it's always me being like, how'd it look? Did it look okay? Does it look like we like each other? Was my tongue okay? No tongue? Okay. Woo! It's the worst.
We saw you dance at ClexCon last year. I don't think you're going to convince us that you can't bring any heat to the screen. Come on, Isabella. Lies.
But that's not me.
That's Isabella.
Having to
That's
do
not her
it with
character.
anybody else, though. You know what I mean? Like, that was just me dancing. Once you bring another human into the equation, I'm like,
That's amazing. Also, I think I went into the wrong industry. I'm pretty sure I could be Hollywood High School.
You
I'm
totally
31.
could, though.
I look like I'm 12. I'm peak age. I just need to be like way hotter. I did this all wrong.
No. I think you could
You'll get there,
definitely
Lee.
be. Both of you actually could definitely play Hollywood in high school.
Is Riverdale casting? I found my new calling.
Oh my
Amazing.
god.
I get carded for like random. I mean, forget like drinking. Like, yes, I'm 31. I still get carded to drink. But like, I was on a flight like last month. And the flight attendant literally came over to double check that I was 18 because I was sitting in the exit
my
row,
God.
and I was just like, "Are you serious? Like, come on." No, it wasn't even 18. It was like 16. Whatever it was. It was embarrassingly young for me to be like, "Are you kidding me? Like, I'm 31. I have a PhD and a child. Like, yes, I can sit in the exit row."
But isn't that kind
Ollie.
of nice?
You know,
No.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You've aged very
it's a little
well,
rough.
Lee.
It's a little rough.
fine.
It's fine. So, okay. So the flip side of that I also want to talk about, because I think it's really cool, is I think that's true for, like, we certainly know that's true from, like, an LGBT standpoint, right? Like, those are relationships, they're, like, super, super sexualized, especially, like, bisexual people. That's a really big challenge that, like, there's no way to talk about being bisexual without it immediately being like a sex thing, you know? But the other thing that I love about it is that it is, I think it's also somewhat true, like, from a Latina perspective, right? That I feel like there is this history of, like, those characters being represented as, like, you're the fiery, passionate, sultry Latina woman who's just like, I burn with desire for you.
Yeah.
You know, and so I love that it's like, it's kind of like on both sides. It's just totally throwing both of those out the window.
But I mean, we
Like, that's
totally
great.
get that with Lydia because that's what she is.
Yes.
Right.
But then it's so nice to be like, yes, we do have Latinx people that are this way, but also we are not that. We could be all
But, like,
sorts
also,
of
we are
things.
nerds and respect us. Damn it.
Damn it.
Oh my god. Well, I also want to talk about Sid as a character.
Yes.
Because we also introduce a non-binary character in a way that I feel like is in the same way that you are like, oh, like lesbian, bullet point on the list. It feels like the same with Sid.
Absolutely. I mean, with that one, the rest of us absolutely knew that it was going to be like a bigger deal because now we were in our third season and we realized how much this meant to people. So bringing a non-binary person in, we knew was going to be huge, especially because I can't think of a single one on TV. I genuinely...
No, I was trying to think of that too. And the only ones I can think of are like on, you know, like where you have in Carmilla and stuff. And it's like kind of more
But
like
they're not TV.
web series based. It's not
Yeah.
like a major network produced.
Because how would they ever get
character,
through
like-
network? Because are people gonna
Right.
relate? Question mark. Please note my sarcasm. But that was what we wanted, and also because, you know, the first season was all about Elena coming out, and then after that, we never wanted it to be about that again. We just wanted it to be like, this
Right.
is Elena living her life, and who she likes has nothing really to do with the rest of her personality at all. So we wanted it to be, for the non-binary character, we wanted it to be just like that, where it's like, we just introduce them and these are their pronouns and we move on. And yes, people have questions and people want to educate themselves, but it's never like a huge deal because that's how life should be.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I love it. Well, let's also talk about the relationship as it develops with Sid. The episode where Elena's trying to figure out who's gay or not.
So accurate.
With like the cookie analogy. love.
I think we still do that. Like, gay people still do that, like, well into, like, and beyond your 30s. It's just, like, trying to feel out if someone else is, like,
if someone else
possibly
is gay or not.
gay, are you?
Yeah.
It's, like, it's still awkward.
Obviously, this is not as much your real life experience, but do you feel like you have better gaydar than Elena?
No, I don't. Well, here's the thing. I don't even know if what I'm about to say is okay. Please pardon me if this is wrong. But in LA,
It's easy, see?
well, in LA, there's so many gay men that I feel the same way. Where I'm always trying to figure out if they're straight. Like, I'm like, are you interested in this or no?
Have you tried just walking around with a cookie and offering them some?
Maybe that's what I need to do. But, like, it's so funny because I always have crushes on gay men and never know until somebody's like, you realize they're gay? And I'm like, no, how would you know? Why would you say that? And they're like, because they're here with their boyfriend. And I'm like, oh.
And you're like, oh, I was hitting on both of them. You're like, wait, that other guy that I had
I know. I'm
crush
like,
on? They're together?
Okay, I see now. So
Yeah,
no, I don't have a better.
It's a problem both
I
ways.
don't have a better one, and I also don't know how to figure it out. So I feel her on that.
That is so funny. I mean, to be honest, it's like there's not really a good way to figure it out. We had a whole episode on gaydar.
Yeah.
And it's
rough.
just like, it's just like a vibe.
Well, let me ask you
But
guys:
it's hard
is it okay? Because I've felt that it's not okay to ask people. So then, how do you figure it out?
I think at a certain point you should ask, but we're more of like the subtle questions.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like with us, it's more like media. So even like I would be like, oh, like, do you watch One Day at a Time? Like, what do you think about, like you have to like ask
Right.
about the gay characters. And if they're like, oh my God, my favorite character is Lena and whatever. And you're like, okay, you're probably a lesbian. So
yeah,
we're good.
it's also you can't really use our go-to trick, which is like out yourself,
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
if I'm trying to feel it out, like, because I'm pretty sure this is what I did when Ellie and I met, like, because we met at an acapella convention, and you were there with your girlfriend at the time, and so like you definitely try to like in conversation just be like, oh yeah, like my wife dropped me off here. And you like
and then I
leave
was
it
like,
there to be
hey.
like, are you gonna pick up on that? Like, okay,
I'm gonna
cool.
start
Yeah.
like telling men, I'm like, hi, I'm straight. Did you know?
yeah.
Yeah, right. It doesn't work the same way if you be
You're
like,
like,
oh,
okay.
my boyfriend just dropped me off.
And they're
No?
like,
Okay.
so?
Right, yeah. It's like, then you'd have to kind of be hoping that they'd be like, mine too. And you're like, oh
Like,
no. It doesn't
Like, oh.
work the same way. Yeah, I feel, and especially like, also we are so much less the people to ask for men. I don't even know, like, what do you bring up to like feel suss out if a dude's gay?
RuPaul's Drag Race?
Yeah, right. That's like my only go-to. Is that it? Like,
I have no
But
idea.
a lot of people like it.
we're
all
bad
so
gay people.
we're all too open now. Now we're like, oh well, of course, like a straight man can love drag queens.
Yeah. Also, like,
Yeah.
I live in
I mean-
LA, so it's like most people here tend to be open and like not as
Yes.
confined by norms and stuff. So it's like, I don't know. I can't tell. Which is why I always go in like, well, you don't know, and then they are gay.
So what you're saying is this whole section we have on get Isabella's tips for asking someone out. You're saying that is just
Just let's scratch that. Let's scratch that because I have no tips.
do you have fun stories of asking someone out?
Well, here's the thing. I don't because I'm bad at it. So what I'll do is I'll make it very obvious that I want them to ask me out.
Such a power straight girl move, by the way. I love it.
But with my boyfriend now, he asked me out originally, but then never set up anything. So what I did was made sure that he came to wherever I was, and then I made all the moves without
Nice.
just asking him out. I was just like, so I'm gonna go ride with Renzi, and I'm gonna. And he's like, well, no, I made it so that you wanted to do that. I'm like, no, babe. I made the moves. Thank you.
And you just thought
So
you
I
did.
just guess
That
my
is
tips
such-
are be straightforward.
There you go. Hey, that's
Amazing.
valid. That's like valid, advice.
Yeah.
It's asking people out is tough.
Asking people out stuff until you realize that it kind of doesn't matter. Like if they say no, your life is still the same as it was right before. So
Yes. Well, I feel like that's the way with I'm sure as an actor, you deal with rejection often.
all the time.
So I feel like it's like
Wow,
figuring
Ellie has so much faith in you, Isabella. Just great. She's like, as an actor, I'm sure you have just been rejected from everything.
I don't mean it like that, but you really do. You have to develop a thick skin when you go out on auditions and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So I feel like dating is the same thing.
Sort of. Sort of. I mean, with acting is definitely like, well, I mean, I guess you can take it a little bit more personally when dating, but also I don't tend to get super attached to people until like further in. So
Yeah.
until we're dating, I don't care. So
Yeah. That makes sense. The advice is just ask. And if they say no, your life is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think that's good advice. Yeah. I want to talk about Sid and Elena's first date because the comic going to Comic-Con.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I love it.
We met you at Klexicon.
Yes.
Have you been to any other conventions?
Nope.
But
So
you're
that was
coming
your
back to
only con.
Klexicon.
I am coming back to Klexicon.
That's amazing. Can't wait to
I'm
see you
very
there.
excited. Yes, I'm so
Yes.
excited.
We are so excited.
What was that like for you last year? What was the Klexicon experience from like that perspective?
It was so crazy in that I didn't think that, like, I knew people cared about the show, obviously, but I didn't think that there was gonna be people there for me. Like, I remember them being like, all right, and then you're gonna have like an autograph booth for 2 hours, and I was like, what am I gonna do for 2 hours? Like, that's gonna be so embarrassing.
Have you
I'm just
not
gonna
met
be sitting there.
lesbians?
Apparently not.
Let me tell you about lesbians, Isabella. Lesbians care. We care.
True.
Well,
I
noticed-
guarantee you, was it just like packed for 2 hours? I mean, yeah.
I mean, I will say towards the end, not so much on the second day, but I thought that there was going to be nobody the whole time. And then that wasn't the case. And I remember like walking out to our panel with Gloria and Mike and like the energy in that room and us being so overwhelmed because we do this in a bubble and we adore each other and we are very proud of what we do. But after that, we don't really know, like, you know, we don't get to see people that watch it all the time. And then being there and seeing how much people love the show and like not only for Elena but for the whole show, because the show, I mean, I'm biased, but the show's fantastic.
No, it's great. Yeah.
So it was just so surreal to be a part of something like that. And like everybody was nice. Like I haven't been in a room where everybody was nice in a long time. Like a big room. It was a big room and everybody was excited to be there. And like the community that's formed at Klexicon, like I had people be like, oh yeah, we like met online and then came to Klexicon and like met each other here. And like we come here every year and that's when we see each other because we live in like opposite sides of the world. That's insane to me. And so
I definitely got picked up
beautiful.
at the airport by like people I met on Twitter. Like it's fine. It's
Oh my god, that's amazing.
great.
That could have been such a different ending to that
No, I
story.
know,
I'm
right?
glad it went well.
But that's the thing is it's like it's such a different landscape these days, you know, like how connections are made and like
Yeah.
the show, especially shows like One Day at a Time and like, you know, that kind of build up these really positive fandoms, you know.
Yeah.
It is. It's like there's a lot of people that connect over that and it is great. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just think it's cool. It's such a cool thing to see.
I thought it was really cool, and it was so like there was no nervousness once I was there. Like with events like that, there's always a little bit of nerves of like, what are people gonna do, or how are they gonna react? Are they gonna be excited? Like, is even anybody gonna be there? And then once like I did my first thing that day, I was like, oh, this is awesome, and like people love each other, and nobody's here to fight or like yell at you. They just want to meet each other and you and have good conversations, and like it was really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I have to ask you because I talked about this on the podcast.
Yes.
After Klexicon. So
Ellie needs proof.
at a certain point at the after party, okay?
Uh-huh.
I know you were meeting a lot of people. Do you remember me?
I think so.
Okay,
Once
good.
I saw your face come up on the thing, I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Okay, good.
Maybe. I think so.
Good. I hope you're not just saying that, but it's okay.
No, I really am not, because I never remember anybody. So I would be like, honestly, no.
No.
So the story
Okay,
is
good.
Ellie snuck her way into the VIP section and was dancing with you guys, but then she was like, "No one got a picture of me up there."
Yeah. No one got a picture while I snuck into the VIP section. I wasn't supposed to be there. And
But
I was
also,
just
how
dancing.
weird was that VIP section?
It was so strange.
We remember, like, all of us that were in the VIP section were like, this is so stupid. Like, we understand that, like, I guess for safety reasons or whatever, they wanted us up there. But it felt like we went because we wanted to talk to you guys, and we went because we wanted to mingle and stuff. And then we were like perched up on this like higher thing, and we're roped off, and people are just watching us, and we're like, "Ooh, this."
I think this year we're actually just gonna put all of you in like go-go cages and like hang you from the ceiling. It'll be great.
I mean, as long as they give me a sparkly outfit, I'm down.
for safety. It's for safety.
It did feel like weirdly voyeuristic, though. I agree. Like where everyone was just watching. Like
It was
like
weird.
you guys were on a stage or something.
It was very strange. And then we like Steph and I kept being like, what can we do? That's like, I don't know. Cause we had been around before they put us up there, and like we weren't getting mobbed. Like we
Yeah.
you know, like we were just talking and like people were coming up, but like it wasn't that deep. Like it was fine. And then they're like, no. You gotta it might have had to do with the fact that I had to be sneaked in there. So, you know, as I said at the
maybe.
beginning of this, I'm turning 21 next month. But they put us all up there. It wasn't just me.
Yeah.
But you
job.
will be 21 for Klexicon this year.
I will be.
Happy
Uh-oh.
birthday to you. Uh-oh.
Yes.
Thank
And we're
you.
gonna buy you drinks. So
Oh my god, I'm so scared.
Yeah, I think we
No,
offered you
it'll be
last
fine.
year, and that would have been illegal. So let's be glad
That
we
would have been. I remember
so we
somebody
didn't do
asked
it.
me to give me a drink, and I was like, is this a trick question? Like, am I supposed to say no? Like, I don't know what to do. It's so hard because I'm Colombian. So in Colombia, once you're 18, you're good.
Yeah.
And so I go
Yeah.
back to Colombia all the time, and then I come back and I'm like, oh, right. Mm.
Yeah.
it's fine. This year will be great.
It's going to be so
What
good.
you said? What?
I
One more
needed to
month?
make
One
sure
more month.
because I don't feel like anyone believed me that I was up there dancing.
We'll dance
So
together
now you
this
all
time.
know from Isabella Gomez's mouth that she remembers me.
I do remember.
Someday we'll just get invited to the VIP section, Ellie. That's
Hopefully
Yes.
there will never be a VIP section again.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, because people pay for it, so they need to have like some sort of extra.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Whatever.
It's fine.
Put on a mask and sneak out. Mingle with the common folk. Come hang
I
out.
will.
Come
Now
hang out
that
with
I
us
will be
peasants.
there legally, I will sneak out. They can't kick me out if I'm there legally.
Yes.
Just like wear a costume. Do like a fun like.
So inconspicuous.
yeah. Right.
I might.
I think
Dresses
if you show
as
up in
Elena.
like. Yeah, a super good costume to like hide your identity. Great choice.
Everyone's like, wow, good
Thank you.
cosplay.
Thank you. Thank you.
You look just like her.
Oh God, yeah. No, we're excited. We're super pumped to go again.
Yeah, we're
It's gonna
so
be
pumped.
great. I feel like we've gotten so off track. I don't even know where we are anymore.
It's totally fine. Let's jump into coming out stuff.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yali?
Yes. Let's do that. Coming out.
Coming out.
Something.
Great.
Something that every gay person has to do, and which I think again. I mean, we're going to talk about like stories that resonate with gay people. I think Elena's coming out story was just so beautifully handled. Just everything about like the whole Penelope's response of being like, I need to be supportive, like when I'm here with you, but then like in private, like what am I doing and what's happening, and like that whole journey that like she had was amazing. Like I think, and especially because of like it is something that I think is still harder for a lot of like Latinx teens to do, like to come out to their parents. There's a lot of like heavy stuff that like gets put on them, What are your thoughts on like that whole process of like coming out to her mother and like parents having to let go of like what they had dreamed of for their kids, like what was it like to do that?
I mean, doing it was so, I don't want to say painful, but it was. Especially that last, like the quinceañera episode was so painful because I'm empathetic to a fault. Like, I just, like, people will be telling me stories and I just start crying because I just can't believe that people have to go through the things they've gone through, especially because I've been incredibly blessed and have been in, like, a situation where my life's been really great and really happy, and my parents accept me and love me for who I am. And, like, so having to, you know, first fall in love with Elena and who she is, and then have her be, like, attacked in such a way by her dad was excruciating. And I always tell this story. Gloria told me about the finale when I was at an after party at something with her.
God.
And I started crying at the after party because I was so upset. But I think the way that her story went is very similar to a lot of people in both aspects. And the good thing about Elena's story was that there was only one person that wasn't down for the cause. The rest of her family was right there to pick her up. And what I do love is the conversations that went on in the writer's room and between actors and between writers and actors to make sure that this was perfect. I believe in the first draft of Elena coming out to Lydia, Lydia was immediately okay with it. She was like, all right, cool. And Rita was like, this isn't true to what this would be like in real life. You know, this isn't a 70-something-year-old Latin grandma. There's no way. Like, there's no way. Like, I can't imagine if I went up to my great grandma right now, who's, I mean, 90s, but, like, my grandma's a lot younger, and was like, hi, I'm gay. Like, I don't even know that she would know what that means. So, you know, having those conversations and having then that incredible monologue that Lydia does about, you know, the Pope and God and thinking that they're better than God. Like, all of that came out of such the collaborative efforts of all of us, because my set is so wonderful in that we all get to talk and make sure that we all feel okay with what's happening. And so it was stunning. And even the Penelope storyline where it's like she wasn't just okay with it right away is so true to life, because parents do have expectations, and it's not entirely their fault in the sense that media has taught us that, like, you know, your little girl's gonna have a huge wedding with the perfect man, and they're gonna have kids and a dog and a white picket fence, and that's gonna be their life, because that's what the media has shown us. So of course there's certain expectations, but then to show that process and show how they protected Elena and made sure that even though they had doubts, that they were gonna put her first, because ultimately it's about her and this is her journey and her experience, and but then still do show the other parts, because I can't imagine how many parents out there have that guilt of, like, they want to be okay with it, they still love their kid just as much, but they still feel weird about it. Yeah, it kind of changes the way you see your kid or your sister or your friend or whatever, but it's gonna take a second to reformulate in your brain, and then everything's gonna be just fine, I promise.
And I love how they did cover it, that it's like, because it isn't something that I think is shown commonly, is that idea that, like, you know, I think you see a lot of coming out stories on TV where it's like, I'm coming out and my parents disown me because they can't accept me and blah, blah, blah. And then you see a lot of, like, I'm coming out and my parent is, like, 100% supportive and they love it and they're totally great. And so I think a lot of parents who are, like, will get there, they see that and they're like, but I'm not there yet. What do I do? You know? And so I think having that storyline showing, like, but it's okay. Like, you can process, you can take time, you can need time to deal with this, but, like, you have to show up. Like, you have to be there, and, like, you can't do it with them. Like, they don't need your process, you know? Like, that person, like, your kid's going through their own damn process, and, like, you just need to be there for them and, like, deal with your own shit on the side, you know? Like, that's okay, but, like, deal with it over here. Deal with it at the bar.
And it doesn't mean that you have to deal with it alone, which is such a huge thing. I think that Penelope had an LGBTQ friend that she could talk to, because I relate to that so much, in that, like, I have a lot of questions and want to educate myself on a lot of stuff, and I'm very ignorant about a lot of things, and I'm very aware of that. So having that safe space where you can go to somebody and be like, I might be about to say something really fucked up. Can you please educate me and let me know, like, you know, what's going on and what I should know? I think it's so important, especially, I mean, Penelope, I guess, doesn't have so much, like, you know, this canceled culture that's happening in the world right now, where nobody can say anything wrong ever, especially, like, if it was 10 years ago, because you will get blacklisted. It's such a scary culture to live in, because people can't grow like that. If you are
Right.
afraid to admit that you don't know something, then you're never going to learn it. And then you're inevitably going to make mistakes because you never learned. So to show Penelope being like, I feel that what I'm doing, what I feel is wrong, and I can admit that, and can you please help me, was so beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
And watch her friend be like, girl, you're good. Like, you're gonna be okay. It was really cool.
Well, and then the quince scene itself, which, like, I'm sure you saw a million of the shirts last year at Lexicon of, like, that scene of all, like, you know, just being I mean, I'm gonna make Ellie cry if I say I got you, but, like, I got you. Like, you know, it's just...
You're right.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, well, I was talking to Lee before, too. I was like, because in preparation for this episode, I rewatched some scenes, and I rewatched the quince scene and also
with
the
the dad.
scene where Elena talks to her dad, and I was just in, tears, just crying all over again.
Good.
But it is, it's just such a beautifully done... Like, the shooting and the, you know, everything about it was just beautiful. But, like, emotionally, it's just, like, it kind of really, like, sums that up, you know, of, like, that's what this is going to be. It's, like, she's going to be there for her. And you're in that, like, baller suit, and it's it's so good. It's so good.
And also, like, the concept of chosen family, which I think is something I love about the LGBTQ community, because it doesn't just relate to LGBTQ issues. Is like, you know, if your family is abusive, if you're, you know, if whatever it is, you get to choose your people, which I think is it's just a beautiful concept. And it's so meaningful because I have friends that are like family to me, and they would be there for me no matter what. And then to see, you know, the landlord and your mom's boss be like, you know, your dad might be a piece of shit, but we got you. Oh my god, I remember like filming that scene was so hard because we did it in front of a live audience, and it was so, you could hear a pin drop. I remember the first time we did it, people started being like, no and I'm sitting there trying to keep myself together, and it was just, we were all like ugly crying. Like, it wasn't like, you know, like TV cry where it's like a tear or two and people still look put together. We were like
artfully perched on one little eyelid. Yeah.
Yeah. We're like sobbing. There's mucus everywhere. We don't know how to handle ourselves. They yell cut. I like have to like take a breath and sit down. I'm like, this is so fucked up. Yes.
But I think that's what made it so real, you know, and that's what, God, like that, it's a really important scene, I think. And I think it's a scene that really meant a lot to a lot of, like, queer people who just, like, it is. That idea of, like, there are going to be people there, you know, there to catch you, there to help, and, like, there to just be there when you need them. Like, it's, okay. We need to talk about something else. It's okay. Should we, like, end it on that good, happy note, or...
Yes. Well, I think we need to talk about, I don't know how much you can give us, but what can we expect from season 3?
It's coming out on Friday.
Spoilers?
I mean, I'm only going to talk more in depth about this because Vanity Fair already put out a review that touches on these points. So it's not me bringing them up.
Okay, great.
It's already out, you know?
You're like, I can't be fired. This has already been put out there.
It's already been put out there, but I will be vague. We definitely see Elena and Sid's relationship progressing. At this point, they've been together for almost a year. So, you know, they are in love and doing stuff that they want to do.
I wish everyone could see Isabella's face saying that sentence because it was
doing stuff and having really,
I remember high school, correct?
High school, right?
Okay.
And just having really incredible conversations that I think are going to be so meaningful, not only to LGBTQ youth, but to teenagers in general. And especially in this era of Me Too and all of that, just like talking about consent and talking about, you know, actually talking about intimacy instead of just assuming and doing things without knowing where the other person's at, which I found incredibly difficult to do. and also very important.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite episodes, actually. You'll see it. I can't really talk much else about it, but Michelle Bedio and Caroline Levitch, I think is how you pronounce her last name, wrote that episode and were super collaborative with me, and it was stunning, truly. We talk about it's good. We talk. You know what's funny though? I can't remember most of the season. I think because I was so stressed because there's two, I would say, main, quote unquote, main storylines for Elena this year. And they're both very personal topics for me. I talked a little bit about this on my Instagram. They're both topics that I have issues with in real life. So it was incredibly difficult for me to work on because I was clouded by my own emotions. Usually I can put those aside and just let the character be the character. But because I have these issues in my own life, I was like, I don't know that this is what Elena would do. And I don't know if this is reading right. And I don't know, how to work around this. So I think because of that, I don't remember most of the season. I don't really know what happened with the other characters because whenever it wasn't me doing a scene, I was up in my dressing room like, all right, girl, let's get it together. But we talk about, this was also the thing, we talk about recreational drug use, which I think is a fun topic. We talk about, God, what was that Vanity Fair wording? So I don't say anything else. We talk about, addiction and following that journey. Especially like, I think it's such an interesting thing because people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to be sober or whatever. And then I don't often see storylines of how it's an ongoing issue and it's an ongoing struggle and you deal with it for the rest of your life. Like if you are an addict, you are an addict for the rest of your life. Even if you're, 20 years sober, this is something that you have to, work on, and you have to keep going to meetings and keep talking to people and make sure that you're good. So we talk about that. We get new characters this season.
Hooray.
Steph, Beatrice, and Melissa Fumero from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, who are queens and goddesses. You guys have no idea. I'm pretty sure I met Steph at Klexicon. And I could be wrong. My God, I don't remember my life. But I'm pretty sure I did. And she is the most badass woman ever. She is so intelligent. She is so just aware and responsible and has such a calming energy. And after Klexicon, we got really close for a while. And she was like helping me with this. And I remember when this particular episode that I was talking about before was coming up, I was texting her. She's like, I'll be on set for you. Like, don't worry. Like, if you want me there, I got you. And it was so beautiful to work with them. Melissa is a comedic freaking genius. And then, of course, Gloria Estefan.
Yes.
And they're all in the same episode as the first one.
Oh my
the
God.
one called The Funeral. It's so funny because everybody's like, did you guys kill Rita? And I'm like, first of all, we would never kill an EGOT. No. And no, I'm pretty sure I can say that because you can see her in the promo pictures. She's not dead.
She's in too many
trailer.
clips.
We're okay.
Yes, she did not die, but it is, that episode is freaking hilarious, and I get to play with Steph in that episode, which is
Nice.
so much fun. And then, what else? What else do we have this season? There's a double date at some point, maybe.
Maybe.
Elena,
I like
Elena is,
maybe we'll have to wait and find out.
maybe tune in on February 8th. There's also, Elena is 17, so that's an age that you can start doing things such as driving, maybe.
Maybe.
Potentially. There could be something about that, and it's all very cool.
I want to just have a segment that's like Isabella Gomez vaguely describes season 3, tries to describe season 3 without saying anything. You guys, it's like we're playing Taboo.
I've just wanted to talk about this season for so long because we wrapped so long ago, and it just feels like it should already be out. Like
There's
I'm like,
a thing that you can
speak.
get when you're 17. 2 words, and it's small, and it's plastic. It fits in a wallet.
You have to carry it around everywhere with you.
I love it.
Yeah, but it's a really great season. It's very funny, but also just in the one day at a time way you will cry. There's some
Excellent.
messed up stuff that's gonna wrench your heart out. there's also, I can't talk much about this, but there is another character that gets introduced that we have talked about in previous seasons that hasn't been in any of the promo pictures or anything like that.
Secrets.
And it is phenomenal. The actor that played this character, it's a man, I'll say that, is insane. He is so talented. The chemistry and like the scenes, it's going to be a beautiful season and I'm very excited.
Amazing.
Oh my
Cannot
god,
wait.
I'm excited. And once it comes out, all the episodes are out.
Yes.
You can just watch them
Yes.
Binge it.
Okay.
This Friday,
Binge it.
February 8th. Do it.
all. Yes. I will.
Amazing.
You know where I'll be.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's
Okay.
timely.
Is it time? Okay,
Yes.
it's time for our next section, Isabella.
Yes.
Which is called Q and Gay.
Q and gay.
Okay.
Okay, so what we do is we have some questions. They're very simple, multiple choice or yes or no answers. We are going to ask you. Many of these we've probably already covered, but we put them up on our Twitter so that our listeners can answer as well.
Great.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
So, let's take it away. I'll do question 1. Would you feel more comfortable wearing a dress or a suit to your quinceañera?
I didn't have a quinceañera, but
We should throw you one at Cluxicon.
yes. I would have probably wanted the super poofy dress.
It's fine.
Okay, you heard it here first, guys.
I would want the dress too.
It's
when
just
I
such
was
a
15, I would want the
production.
dress.
You want the glitter and the I
Yeah.
can't walk through doors.
21 era at Cluxicon, big poofy dress. Be there
Done.
or be square. Got it.
All right, number 2, and this is obviously biased. You'll be a little biased. This is mostly for our listeners. Who is the best or your favorite Alvarez? Lydia, Penelope, Elena, or Alex?
I mean, Elena. But I will
Obviously.
say my favorite character in the show is Schneider.
All right.
Yeah, I think he should have been included in that because he is an Alvarez.
I know,
He is
I was
an
gonna say,
Alvarez.
I was just about to say, like, but he's not an Alvarez, but then I'm like, man, Schneider would be so mad if I said that.
He's an Alvarez,
Adam.
and he's actually my favorite character.
Nice.
I'm
I
a
love
huge
it.
fan of Lydia, not gonna lie.
She's, genius. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
she just cracks me
She's
up every
great.
time.
Yes.
Like, she just says the most ridiculous things, and I'm always just laughing so hard. But yeah.
Okay,
Alright.
question 3. Make the first move or wait to be asked out?
I mean, wait to be asked out, but make a move that makes them want to ask you out.
Amazing.
C is all of the above, apparently.
All of the above. Both at the same time.
Trick them into thinking you waited to be asked out.
Exactly.
All right, number 4. Who would you cosplay at Comic-Con? A, the Doctor, B, Harley Quinn, C, Wonder Woman, or D, Deadpool?
I'm inclined to say Deadpool.
Nice.
I
choice.
just watched Deadpool 2 like a month ago, and it's just, it's so funny. It's so good.
Amazing.
Amazing.
So there you go. If you want to escape the VIP section at ClexCon, I think a Deadpool costume would be much more effective than an Elena Alvarez costume.
Honestly, yeah.
To escape detection.
Now everyone will know if they see a Deadpool at Klexicon that it is Isabella. though.
Sorry, we'll
don't
edit that
know.
out. You can hide, okay? Or Ellie and I will also cosplay as Deadpool, and then no one will know.
I love
Yes.
that. Let's do
The
it.
tall one will be Ellie.
Damn it. I can't hide.
Ellie's got like 6 inches on both of us, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, question 5, last question. Yes or no? Do you want to split this cookie?
Yes!
Aw.
Oh, that's so cute. Are these on Twitter? I want to actually answer them on
They
Twitter.
will be.
They will be the week the episode
Oh,
goes
okay,
up, yeah.
amazing. Okay.
You can go on and vote.
Yes.
Great.
And remember, you can give us your own answer to this episode's Q&A on our Twitter at Les Hangout Pod.
Speaking of Twitter and social media, Isabella, where can everyone find you?
Oh my god, I was about to say my old @name. Let me tell you right now because they're different. On Instagram, you can find me at Isabella.Gomez. And on Twitter, you can find me at Isabella_Gomez.
Girl, you gotta consolidate your handles.
I know, I tried, but it didn't work.
It's so hard.
yeah.
It's so hard.
I mean, this is as close as we're gonna get. It's fine. right.
And are there any new projects coming up that you want us to promote? Obviously, we know there's one.
One day at a time, February 8th, everybody. I have nothing that I can talk about. I've been teasing and they won't let me say anything yet. I'm part of an animated Disney show.
Nice.
It's second season, but I don't know when it's coming out. But when I know, you bet I'll post it on my handles that I just mentioned.
Amazing.
Isabella will also be doing a Instagram takeover, so if you have questions that you want her to answer, send them in at us. Get us those questions. Email us. DM us. Slide in our DMs. Do it.
Yes. DMs.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, Isabella. I'm just so happy you're here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This I think was my first podcast ever, guys.
Oh,
yeah. It's been
We
fun.
feel
I
so
like
special.
it. I like the long form better. We can chat.
And you
Yeah,
never
right?
forget your first podcast, so now we're in there.
We're in there.
Awesome. Excellent.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We love hearing from you and building our community, so we want to shout out some of our favorite things each episode.
Starting with one of our faves on Twitter, John Shavers, who had a great suggestion for a Lara Croft Wonder Woman fanfic. So if someone is looking for an idea to write about, he gave up a great one with Lara crash landing near Themyscira, Wonder Woman, Diana finding her. There's some amnesia happening. They let her stay on the island. I imagine it progresses beautifully from there into a blossoming love story.
Yeah.
Take it away, someone, please, and then send it to us.
A lot of whips. And
Courtesy of John. Thank you, John.
And I also wanted to shout out some people from our Instagram. Our episode with Allison Stoner came out last week. We had a really great response from all of you. There was one particular quote from Allison talking about how it can be hurtful when people tell you something that you didn't even know about yourself. And we had a lot of really great comments on our Instagram. So I just wanted to shout all of you out for sharing your stories and being really open about your experiences.
And as always, we want to say a huge, huge thank you to our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Amy and Ellen,
Kayla Kelly,
Lizette Stye,
Tanya Ferguson,
Jess Klaus,
Danny Griswold,
Michelle Ray Thomas.
and Mark Foster.
Thank you so much. This podcast honestly depends so much on our patrons, you guys, and everyone else that's on our Patreon family. So thank you for all of your support.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Let's Hang Out Pod.
You can send us an email at letshangoutpod@gmail.com.
Or you can check out our website at letshangoutpod.com.
Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast in whatever podcast app you use. That way you will get new episodes as soon as they drop.
We're also posting every other Thursday on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/letshangoutpod.
If you want to help support the podcast, there's a couple different ways that you can do that. One of them is super easy, super free. Rate and review us on iTunes. It helps new people find the podcast, and also we love reading them.
And if you want to help support us financially, we would love for you to become a patron at our Patreon. Our newest perk is that you get ad-free episodes. I know everyone loves our deodorant commercial. Seriously, like 7 of my friends have texted me saying how much they love hearing me talk about deodorant. I don't know why.
And also, I love our deodorant, so there you go.
So there you go. Shameless plug. But if you join our Patreon, you never have to hear me talk about deodorant ever again at bit.ly/lespatreon.
And you can join our next watch party coming up. Get on that. Don't miss out.
Oh, yes.
Or you can buy some of our swag. If you want to get some merch, go check out our TeePublic store at bit.ly/lesshop. We have our screwhole shirts. We have our homonormative shirts. We got all sorts of good stuff. You can get it there.
You can also donate to our Trevor Project page at bit.ly/lestrevor.
If you want to follow us individually, the best place to find me is on Twitter and Instagram at LSH Foster.
And the best place to find me is on Instagram and Twitter at Ellie Brigida. And with that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee. And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.